Shalom. My name is Sheldon Wilson from Beth Immanuel. And what I'm going to do tonight is start a Torah Club Study nightly as of right now. It's the time that seems to work best for me. Maybe it'll work good for some people who are elsewhere in the world. We have a lot of virtual congregants from all over. So might be good to give them something that they can watch live at their convenience. So today we're going to be looking at the book of Bamidbar. We're starting out with a new book in the Torah. The Torah is made up of 5 books, of course, and this is the 4th. So we had Bereshit, Genesis, Exodus, Shemot, Leviticus, Vayikra, and now we're in Bamidbar, Numbers. So where does that name come from? Bamidbar. Where does the name Numbers come from? Well, I think a lot of people look at the book of Numbers and they think this is all going to be a bunch of numbers. I'm not really interested in that. I'd rather go back to reading the Gospels or something. But there's actually a lot of really good stuff in the book of Bamidbar, in Numbers. There's a lot of stories. You know, this is the book that it's always frustrating to me. This is the book in which the movies never go into any of the stories in Bamidbar, and I think that's a real shame because a lot of the best stories in the Torah are found right here in Bamidbar. So anyway, Bamidbar, it starts like this. I'm just going to stick to the English. My translating abilities haven't yet gotten quite as good as Aaron or Yisrael. So I'm just going to read from the English here. So in Numbers 1:1 says, Then the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tent of meeting, on the first day of the 2nd month, in the 2nd year after they had come out of the land of Egypt. So here we are. We're just 1 month after building the tabernacle, and this is pretty recent. Recent events that have happened. In Vayikra, we read about Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, and how they were struck dead after the incident in the tabernacle. Something wasn't quite right there, and unfortunately, they lost their lives. Well, so this is recent history for the children of Israel, and we've since, because of that event, there were a lot of laws that were, really detailed throughout the book of Vayikra and Leviticus, so that things like that wouldn't happen again. If you're going to have Hashem dwelling within the midst of your people, you gotta kind of treat that with care. It's kind of like, I don't know, you have like a radioactive bar or whatever. You gotta be really careful with that thing. You treat it with respect, because that can burn you. Well, that's what Nadab and Abihu found out as well. Well, so basically, yeah, the whole book of Vayikra was all about learning about the distinction between the holy and the profane, and how you're going to have this Mishkan in the midst of Israel. So we've also heard Moshe say in Shemot, in chapter 33, verse 15, it says, "If your presence does not go with us, then lead us up, or do not lead us up from here." So what he's saying is, okay, yeah, we're going to build this Mishkan, this tabernacle, because Moshe's been on Mount Sinai, and he's seen this amazing pattern of this heavenly temple, and so Hashem, Hashem tasks him with building what he saw on the mountain at the base of the mountain. So this is it's like some sort of like spiritual wormhole. There's what's in the spiritual matching with what's in the physical, creating this link between the spiritual and the world that we exist and experience. Well, Moshe is saying, okay, this is wonderful. We're going to have this Mishkan in our midst, but then if this is where you're going to be, then don't send us away from here. So here he's saying, look, this is my own thoughts on this, but don't send us away to the land. The land's nothing if you're not going to be there. Of course, Hashem is everywhere, but we're talking about his concentrated presence, like the Shekhinah, what some people pronounce, the Shekinah, or however it might be said. But the Shekhinah is this concentrated presence of Hashem, and this is how Hashem, really revealed himself at this time in a very tangible, not literally tangible, but as tangible as it can get in this world. And so, if this is where the Mishkan is going to be, Moshe says, "Don't send us away from here." So, what does Hashem do? Well, Hashem's already thought of that. The Mishkan is made to be disassembled, and it's made to be reassembled, and it's made to be portable. It's not like the Beit HaMikdash, which is the Holy Temple, which is meant to be in one spot. Now, since the temple was built, and in the days of King Solomon, and again after the first exile, when the temple, since the temple existed, you don't see Mishkan anymore. The Mishkan was this temporary dwelling while Israel was waiting to have the Holy Temple be established. So this whole first section, I see, is like, you read our parashah today for this week, and what I'm planning on doing is doing a little bit each night, and kind of just covering little by little. I'm not going to cover everything. This isn't going to be exhaustive, but we're going to just, I think, touch on some things that are very interesting from each little section. So here, we've got this Mishkan that's portable. Okay, wonderful. So this Mishkan is portable. Now, the rest of the story here is going to be the journey, right? And so when you go on a long journey, I've gone on a long journey before, what do? You gather up the things that are important to you. You kind of take an inventory, make sure you got everything, and you transport it. And so this is what we see here. We're seeing counting of how many are there among the men of Israel, who are of, I believe it says, of the ability to go out to war. So this is important. You're going to be traveling. You're going to encounter some people who don't want you traveling through their land, and so an army is an important thing. Got to have some self-defense. Otherwise, people are going to be looking to take you out. Well, but what I see here is that so Hashem's, he's gathering what's precious to him. What is precious to him? The people are precious to him. So when something is precious to you, what do? You've got a collection, like women. You've got a collection of your jewelry, right? So what do you do with it? Does it just sit in a drawer and you never look at it? Probably take it out from occasion and put it on and look nice. And well, but maybe there's other times where you look through your jewelry, make sure it's all still there. Maybe the plumbers come, and you want to make sure he doesn't have sticky fingers. So you pull all your treasures out, and you take them out one by one, and you see that they're all there. Well, this is what Rashi says about this first portion. So here's what Rashi says. Because of Israel's dearness before him, Hashem counts them all at all times. So he's saying Hashem is always counting Israel. He says, when they departed from Egypt, he counted them. Exodus 12:37. After some fell from the sin of the golden calf, what did he do? He counted them again to determine how many remained. Exodus 38:25 to 26. And when his Shekhinah came to rest upon them in the Mishkan, the tabernacle, he counted them again here in our Torah portion. So this is why we have so much counting. It's not that it's here to be boring or anything. This is important information. It tells us who the chiefs were of each of the tribes, and these were princes. These were bigwigs. These were pretty important guys, and sometimes we just blow over their names. Well, I mean, if your name was in the Torah, might be, I don't know, but if your name was in the Torah, I bet that would be a pretty big deal to you. I've in a past life worked on some movies, and when I look at a movie and you want to look through the credits and there's my name. You're willing to just sit through all those lists of names to see yours, right? This is also important, if let's say you're looking through your family generations, and let's say you're related. You were a close relative at the time, 2,000 years ago, to Yeshua, and you're compiling for to give this genealogy, whatever, to the writer of one of the Gospels or whatever it might be, and you look back and here's Nachshon, the prince of Judah at the time. And these names are important. It's a great blessing to these people that their names are in the Torah. So yes. So now we've talked about the beginning of Bamidbar. Talked a little bit about the counting, the census that's taken place here. I do want to mention something. You'll see over and over here that it says that they were counted according to the number of their names, and this is important because there is a mitzvah that you don't actually count people. You don't count Jews. So what's the reason for this? It's like when a synagogue is trying to gather together a congregation which is known as a minyan, is minimum 10. And so you count. So you pick a verse that has 10 words, and you say each word in that verse as you're figuring out if you've got enough for your minyan. You might also say, I've heard some say that some would count not 1, not 2, not 3. It's a mitzvah. You're not supposed to count Jews. Some very good lessons here, like how important, an impact has Israel made, and will they make once even more so when Mashiach comes and the Messiah comes. You can't count them by their heads, right? So how do you count them? You count them by their names, it says here, and elsewhere we've seen that the sons of Israel were counted actually by coin. When you give like the half shekel, everyone gives a half shekel, no more, no less, right? So this is how a census is taken. According to the Torah. So you can count the coins that they give. I think there was one of the Caesars once wanted to count how many Jews were coming for Pesach, for Passover. And so he, or maybe it was Herod. Anyway, so what they did is they counted the animals that were being brought for the sacrifice, the rams that were being brought for the Pesach offering, and so they counted those in order to figure out approximately how many Jews. So this is how the counting actually took place in those days, and I think nowadays, probably, I don't know. Probably in the land of Israel, they probably, if they want to do a census, they probably, count. but this is the way the Torah prescribes that the census should be taken. We've seen later in David Amelech and King David's life, when he was reigning, he actually counted, I believe, and this was a big sin, and there were consequences that this census actually took place. So these are some of the things that are going on here at the beginning of the parashah. We'll continue reading and learning a little bit about the parashah as we go. Like I said, my plan is to do this generally about 11 o'clock each night, of course, not on Friday nights. And hopefully we can work through this regularly and learn a little bit more. Why do I do this so late? Well, it's just what works for my schedule. I want to say thank you to everybody who's one of the virtual members with Beth Immanuel. Your presence is definitely felt here. We love it when you come and visit. We love to meet you in person. We love to. We just you mean so much to us. But if you can't, we are definitely so glad that you can join us even here in our broadcast. So please come on when you see that live alert on our page. Get used to the schedule that we're all on, because we would love to talk to you. All right, shalom, and have a good night.